Hi, folks, and welcome to another edition of Points of Interest. Got a special show for us today. We got Michael Thompson, and he's going to be talking about his event coming up May the 3rd. And we got some news for you coming up, right?
Yep.
So we're going to have a great time today. Hey, let's get this thing off the
Let's do
ground.
it.
Exploring the people, places, and technology in the growing drone industry. This is the Points of Interest Dronecast.
All right. Hey, we're back, and thanks again for joining us for another Points of Interest Dronecast. And once again, as I was saying, we've got none other than Michael Thompson. Michael,
Great to be here,
thank
Gary.
you for coming to the
Thanks
show.
for having me, bud.
Yeah, well, we interviewed Michael a couple of weeks ago over at the airport about his event on May the 3rd, and we're going to talk all about that tonight, right?
Yep. Waltrip Williamsburg Executive Airport.
Yes, and it's a great space. I really love that, and you've got a great plan. How many years have you done this?
So this is the third year.
Third year.
Third year at that airport. They just renamed it this year.
Right.
After the owner, Larry Waltrip.
Waltrip.
So.
That's very cool, and always reminds me of Darrell Waltrip from NASCAR.
Yeah.
Any relation? You know.
I know there's a racing connection somewhere,
Okay.
so maybe.
Could be. Yep. Well, anyway, we'll get into that. But I wanted to find out a little bit more about Michael today, because I know that you kind of you've had a career in, just as I understand, just 3 years. You have jumped into drones. Now, drones. That's one of the things about drones. Hadn't been around that long yet, right?
This is going on my fourth year actually.
Okay.
So, it's 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still drones themselves are probably in the modern era to me not more than about 9 or 10 years.
They're still new. We're still new.
Right. And you got in as most of us are right now at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. Well, tell us about your journey.
All right. So my background's in public safety. From military, I did a stint of 5 years in the Norfolk Police Department. I helped a friend of mine build the Silvar Security Corporation for a couple of years, and then I found my way to Eastern Virginia Medical School of Public Safety. I was a patrol officer and a campus security instructor. And one day I was on patrol and I found a Pelican case next to a dumpster. I'm like, that's not right, because Pelican cases are expensive.
Right.
So I got out, checked it out.
And probably being a security person, you had some concern, probably.
Like, it's a Pelican case. It's expensive. No one's going to blow up an expensive Pelican case.
True. Get a cheap one.
On that aspect, I felt pretty safe on opening it.
Okay.
So I opened up, and there was a Phantom 2 in there.
Okay.
No camera, the batteries, extra props, everything was there.
So a controller, and you had a drone.
It was like Merry Christmas.
Right.
That's right. So I took it home, charged it up, and downloaded the manual, and everything worked.
Wow. No camera.
No camera.
But you could still watch it fly.
I could still fly it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So turns out our marketing department threw it out. So they were transitioning from the old building to the new building, and they just didn't want to take it with them. So they just wrote it off their inventory and threw it away.
Right.
So
Government surplus.
I was excited. I got my 107. And still learning to fly.
Right.
Thinking, God, I wish there was somebody here to give me pointers, but that stuck with me.
Right.
And so I got that certification. It said risk management, HR. Here you go. Here's my certification. Now your marketing department can fly, because no one had their certification.
That's cool.
So they had Platinum Pro.
Okay.
That's what they were using. And so I was flying for them, and then our facilities director said, hey, I want to do roof inspections. I said, we'll make sure it has thermal imaging. So he bought a Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced.
Okay, sure.
To share with public
safety. That's like the first one with thermal, I would think. Yeah.
And so he wrote up share it with public safety. So DCGS came out with AWR 407 and 406 program development and then response classes for public safety.
Okay.
And so I got those certs, put them on the file of risk management HR, and started training with the City of Norfolk Public Police and Fire Departments. They trained together.
Right.
And a lot of the guys I ran the streets with are now in the specialty groups.
Right.
So I was like, hey, you guys got a drone program? They're like, yeah, we got one. And we're getting ready to have our first one. Come on over. So, the guy who runs that, Tim Doyle, fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic name in the industry. He's like, what do you want? I said, I want to be a mini U over here, so that way if something goes sideways, I'm right here. You know what you're going to get for backup.
Right.
It's like fantastic. So that spiraled, and I was doing roof inspections and thermal imaging reports for redoing a rooftop, and then flying with the public police departments.
Okay.
Going on the call outs with these guys, and doing those drone operations, setting up sometimes 2-3 blocks away with the drone, and giving a complete oversight for the SWAT commanders and everything else. So that snowballed, and then drone responders popped up. The first ever drone responders. Like, oh, this is cool. I'm definitely going to this because it's right here in Williamsburg, right?
Was drone responders created in this area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was the first ever one was right at Williamsburg, Busch Gardens.
Yeah, yeah. And I was there because I was doing the AV.
It popped up on Eventbrite. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I got I went with that, and the department paid for all that stuff. So that was cool. And I met everybody at the top. Everybody at the tip of the spear in the public safety realm. The FAA guys, John Meehan, and it's actually John who kind of wrote, so you should think about becoming an FAA safety team rep. Yeah, and so I was like, what do I got to do? He said, well, a lot of community outreach and safety and, ushering all that stuff in for drones. It's kind of like a help desk. I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay.
And so I had already applied at that point. And he says, well, I mentioned that. And he's like, well, just tell him I said, you applied and look at it. And so 20 minutes later, after I sent that email, they said, yeah, come on down for an interview.
Wow.
And so I became an FAA safety team rep.
Right.
And so there's just 3 of us now. I'm actually a lead rep now for the group. And so anytime the FSDO, Flight Standards District Office here in Richmond, gets questions about drones, they call one of us, usually me. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So you became an authority, especially on the side of
public safety. Drone operations
right.
I was heavy into that, and then
right.
it was all a natural, everything at once. It's just like doing media flights and doing roof inspections, and then public safety. So very well rounded. Right off the bat, it was just all kind of natural.
And I think the timing was not only just exactly when it all kind of exploded for those places. All of these units began to say, "Oh gosh, we had airplanes, right? Everybody had an airplane with a searchlight in it, but the drone thing was still kind of a little bit like, I don't know, and then some were reluctant to have a drone program.
Yeah,
but then it exploded. Like if you didn't have one, you were not playing. You were behind, right?
Yeah, well, exactly right. And it was quickly realized how much of a great tool it is, especially in the terms of vital, time-sensitive information when you're responding to a call. Having that drone there on scene is a huge game changer.
Sure.
So that's, I had my first event that I decided I was going to put together. So that came about. I actually went and helped a friend of mine. He had a get-together, and I was going to, maybe I'll do that for the Richmond FSDO, have a little get-together. And I was like, there's only 3 of us. I said, we're just going to have an event. I love events. I've been 23 years as involved with security with North American Sand Soccer Championship.
Okay. So sports events.
Yeah, sports events.
With hundreds of people.
Yeah, right, right.
So no big deal for you at this point.
Yeah, it was just like, natural. Yeah. Let's do it. And so it was a huge hit. I named it Connecting Skies. The FAA likes to title their events and stuff with little snappy titles. I call it Connecting Skies, and it stuck with me. And now
it's a great name.
It's my LLC. Yeah. So
just like me and I Fly Drones, which is so bluntly obvious that it sounds stupid, but I think it works.
It does. It works. It's great. Right? What do you do? I fly drones.
Yeah. And what are you doing? So you're connecting skies.
I'm connecting skies, right? So for the purpose of myself in Connecting Skies is I want to be that person, giving that person that extra confidence as they're flying for the first time, helping companies integrate drones so they can expand our workforce and integrate drones into their companies to make things safer and more efficient.
Right.
And that's the passion. It's the drive that I've got.
That's a great drive to have. And my thing with I Fly Drones, obviously at the beginning of the day, and I know that you have a securities job, so you kind of have this ability to, you have that. I have to make money with my drones, right? And so the first thing I do is obviously RTK and mapping stuff and inspections. Like today I did a roof inspection in Mineral, Virginia, and I love that. It pays the bills. But at the end of the day, I really want to push, like you are, people and get more people involved.
Right. And so one of the things I truly have enjoyed about this experience so far is the collaboration in the aviation industry and amongst drone professionals. It's insane. I went to Lifted Media had a UFO event in Virginia Beach, like a Skywatchers event.
Okay.
Right. And we had about 20, 30 people showed up for this, and how to identify the lights in the sky. It was a pretty neat event.
Really UFOs, or were they talking about UAS mostly?
UAPs, unidentified phenomenon type stuff, formerly known as UFOs.
Are they still doing that?
Yeah, they're still doing that.
I would like to go to that. Yeah.
So they're going to do it every quarter, Shane.
Okay.
But
Cool.
I went there. It was a great time. It turns out Wavy 10 showed up and did a short snippet on that.
Okay, yeah.
And
that's that. By the way, you people from Richmond and have no idea, but that's one of their television stations in that Norfolk area.
Yeah. So they showed up, and then we all got to talking and everything. So they actually might come out to the event as well, Wavy. Channel 10.
That would be great.
But yeah, so I just moved forward, and I kept on pushing and going and flying and learning and going to all these events and creating these events. And I'm down the rabbit hole, man. I'm not going back.
Yeah,
this is the direction I'm going. Right?
I met you the first time I met you. You were working with a camp. Right?
Yes. Julie Young's fantastic. E-Aviation and Drone Academy.
Right.
I met her out at one of the AUABSI.
Right.
I met Dan, and he's one of the co-owners of E-Aviation.
Right.
And Drone Academy. And so it was just like, let's do it. I was helping her out with the drone camps, and she was in West Point, and I was in
Well, I'm so glad, because when I came down there, I met Julie for the first time. I met Aaron. I met you, and all of you have been, now an integral part of everything that I've done in the last year. And it's really cool to make those relationships, and everybody there has the same goal, and that is promoting this whole thing, the drones, whether it's just for the fun of it or the industry, it's just incredible.
And so, the point of any Connecting Skies event is to show the public what is out here, what drones are doing. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
The cameras are, if you're looking at a car and you see just the reflection, that's what the camera's seeing. I had to, part of that, I actually had to incorporate into my job at EVMS when I was a patrol officer, flying, doing roof inspections or media. Somebody complains, hey, there's a drone flying outside looking in my window.
You got to look into it.
So they went down to the security desk and said, there's a drone flying looking inside my window. And the officer's like, no, he's one of us. He's actually doing a roof.
Doing a job.
Just 10 feet below your window.
Cool.
So
cool.
It's pretty educating.
What's next besides the events? What's next for you in the drone world? What do you think is the next place for you?
So, I'm pushing forward, helping these companies realize that drones are a tool that we can hire even as an entry point to whatever engineering or construction.
So you're gonna be more of an advocator continuously.
Consultant, advocating for job expansion. Incorporate drones. There's a ton of 107 pilots out here.
Right.
We just got to make a standardized process.
Right.
So, in that journey, I found myself going through the training with the Norfolk PD, and that's where I discovered NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, came up with these test methods for standardizing training and validating the functionality of your drone at the same time.
And amongst other certificates you have, you're also a proctor.
I am a proctor through Airborne Public Safety Association.
Yeah, that's cool. So again, this guy in just a matter of 3 years has really taken the game from finding a drone to being really one of the biggest, players in the area for all the aspects of this thing, and it's amazing. So it's a great story. I look forward to more things we're going to do, right?
And setting the standards.
So what is your end goal right now?
My end goal is to set the standard for pilot training and incorporating drones and pilots into the current workforce, building out more opportunities for drone pilots and setting that standard using NIST because it's already been accepted nationwide by public safety, police and fire both as
As
training,
a system. Mm-hmm.
as the system for training your pilots and judging which drone is right for which job.
Sure. Are you having a NIST course at the May 3rd event?
So I'm going to be overall safety officer for that. I can bring one, but as to far, I haven't got up. You got anybody to run.
You got a lot of hats to wear right now.
Got a lot of hats to wear.
Right,
so
right.
Maybe next year
We could call Max. Max, if you're out there
Max
watching.
would be great.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get Max in. So that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and if you don't want to bring yours, we built one too. We built a mini.
Yeah.
So we're happy to.
So I've got multiple courses. So
Awesome.
I can definitely bring one.
All right. Well, again, we're going back to what we really wanted to do this show about the most, and that is just coming up in just a week and a half, 2 weeks from right now. We're going to be sitting on May the 3rd, and it's a special day. As a matter of fact, it's a special day the day before because my daughter graduates from her master's program at Pitt.
Nice.
And it all worked out beautifully because I didn't think when you first talked to me about this event, I said, oh gosh, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. But it turns out she's graduated. All the good stuff happens the day before. I will be in Williamsburg on the 3rd. So I'm really excited about that. And so tell us again, what are we having on the May the 3rd for this Connecting Skies event?
All right. So May 3rd is actually International Drone Day.
Right. That's a fun
So
thing.
that was the original from SOAR FPV and the Tidewater Drone Users Club kind of got together in like 2019.
And who proclamated that? Is that
so that was like
was that Obama?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. All right.
International Drone Day.
But there is really an International Drone Day.
Yeah, and that's May 3rd.
Okay.
It falls on that first Saturday of April.
Okay.
Every year.
Okay.
And so that's been my go-to event. So I mean, I got bored one day and it just happened to fall on. Oh yeah, there's a Tidewater Drone Users Club out at the Williamsburg Jamestown Airport. Mm-hmm. I'll go to that because I'm kind of bored today. And,
sure.
And I was thinking about that's where the light bulb went off about, hey, this is where I'm going to have my event to invite the public out.
Right.
So they can find out about drones and see what it's all about and get the feel of everything.
Sure,
and
sure.
It's the perfect place because you get the exact feel for aviation and the excitement.
And when we did your other interview, there were planes taking off and landing while we were there, and there's planes all around you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And now you're going to have the Nightingale.
So Nightingale Air Ambulance is going to be landing at approximately about 1 o'clock, duty and weather permitting.
Cool.
So yeah, they're scheduled to land at 1300, 1 o'clock for civilians.
Awesome.
And yeah, we've got their corner set up, and we're going to have Dominion Energy out there. They're going to demonstrate a couple of drones that they use for mapping and
electrical inspection,
interior GPS denied environments. The Helios 3.
Okay.
They're going to show that off and bring their whole unit out.
Nice.
Response unit.
Okay.
We're going to have a Newport News drone team out there, a Newport News police drone team out there.
Right.
York County, City County.
Right.
They'll be out there.
Which you guys, you've probably been connected to for a long time and through the process of what you've been doing. So that's cool. And it's nice that they come out and take that time to not only support the event, but to really show appreciation, I'm sure, to you for doing this. So that's awesome.
So under the exhibit tent, we're going to have E-Aviation and Drone Academy is going to have an exhibit table there.
Right.
I haven't heard what NASA's got planned, but they're still, as far as I know, they're still intending on coming.
Good.
So they haven't canceled out or manpower issues they were fighting with for a second, but they're coming out and bringing something. We're going to have a drone cage, which is going to be awesome for people who have never flown at all and want to just go hands-on and try flying. We're going to put you inside of a cage so you can't go flying off into the runway.
Yep. We'll have a bunch of the Neos like we used for an event that I just put on indoors. They're small. Yeah. They're unbreakable.
They're the perfect training drone.
Exactly. You don't go too fast or too far, and you can really learn well without hurting anyone.
So I've got 3 hoops I can put up in the net.
Okay.
And then fly the Neos through some hoops.
That'll be fun.
Cool.
Yep, we'll bring some additional.
And then we have the simulators through Zephyr Simulation.
Thank you, Zephyr. Yep, we'll have a couple of those and set up in the same tent so that you can practice on the simulator, and then you just come over. Okay, I've practiced. I'm ready. Let's do this. Up stick. side stick, let's do this. And, you get out there and try it if it's the first time, or if you're an experienced drone pilot and you've never flown one of these little Neos. Just for fun, come try.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
They're fun. They're a really cool drone.
And we'll have the flip there too, which is
that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, not many people have seen the flip. We're very fortunate that we have one, and we'll bring it out and let people fly with that because it's neat too. And it's like the Neo. It's almost unbreakable, and it's really a great camera. Like the Neo's a little bit of a compromised camera, for the novice. But you could take the flip out, and you could do some professional work.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's got a great camera on it.
Yeah. And again, safe around people.
Safer. It's all the ducted rotor systems. Yeah.
Well, listen, can't wait for it. It's coming up. But we want to do a little bit of news. So right now, let's check out our news story. Right, so the big news that's coming up, it's kind of slipping on everybody because there's been so much talk for a long time about DJI. But the real bill that actually is passed and just has a expiration date, or I guess not an expiration,
implementation date?
Yes, that makes more sense.
It'll be a law.
Right. The American Securities.
So the American Security Drone Act.
Yeah.
2023.
Tell us about.
They gave us 2 years to say, okay, anybody receiving federal funding as of December 22nd, 2025, you will no longer be able to use Chinese-made drones, period.
Right.
So that includes
Hollystone,
DJI, anybody that's flying for anything made in China.
Right.
Yeah, anything it could potentially be disastrous.
Right.
Because it affects anybody who receives funding. That's the way the law reads.
Right.
So it could be a contractor or a subcontractor of a contractor.
Right. So we were talking about that really before the show just a little bit, and I was saying, well, most of my work's like with the construction companies, American construction companies. I'm sure they don't give a darn. But then Michael pointed out there's a good chance that some construction companies could have funding backed by the government, which then kind of puts it back on me, doesn't it?
So yeah, it does. And so, or worse yet, so these contractors may not even know about this law, right? So they hire you and don't say anything to you about it,
right?
And you don't know anything about it, but
right.
They could lose their contract. And I was thinking about that driving up here, all the construction going along 64. I'm like, that could affect every single one of those contractors. And
I can't imagine,
because there's federal funding tied into it. There's got to be.
Well, I said this to you too, is that my investment is a personal small business investment. A big government agency, they have funding, that comes in. If they had to go out there and buy $50,000 worth of drones tomorrow, not going to kill them.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, that's only 2 Skydio drones.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's only 2 drones.
Without the subscription.
It used to be 12 drones of good quality, but now, with DJI stuff, but now here's me. I'm a small business, and I look at this and go, wow, I'm pretty much out of business.
Right. So if you and I both had federal contracts right now, we would be out of business. If we operated off of just the government contracts, and there's probably a lot out there that do, especially in the construction and road constructions and all these buildings,
right?
There's federal funding tied into all of that.
So this is coming up in what's the date?
So December. It's coming up on December 22nd.
December 22nd. So we got that much more time to either watch this thing fall apart or somebody come in and intervene.
Yeah. Some company maybe can, have a drone and not be greedy and put together a good viable option for us to use.
That would be great,
right?
At a price point.
The company that does that, I will promote them to my heart's content.
Sure, but I still say, and this is the argument, that I don't think that the people in legislation positions understand that what is happening with DJI when they removed the server connection. That was a big deal. Okay, they removed all that from their hardware. Does no longer talks to any server in China. Now that thing is an independent piece of equipment that sits in my drone box, And people have made this argument, that's the craziest argument.
Yeah.
They said, well, they could just take it over. They have control of it in China.
Nope.
What, are going to fly it out of my box? How's that going to work?
Right,
I don't think it's going to unfold itself.
No, so that's not the way it works, right? So that's the whole problem. Is we got companies out there lobbying these politicians who don't know about what we do, and DJI is doing everything they can
to be
remain compliant.
Right.
They're being ignored, and there's money behind it, and we all know. I'm not going to say Skydio's name or AVSI. I said that. But yeah, no. So seriously, they're if they had just spent the money on R&D and production, they could have had a whole line of prosumer drones for us.
Sure.
Versus all the money they spent on lobbying to try and stop their competition, rather than doing it
Helping
the good
us.
old-fashioned American way.
Right.
Yeah.
Bringing us the
Hard work
drone
and
we
grit
needed.
and doing it. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's and hopefully the other thing I hope is it gets kicked down the can kicked down the road like they did with the remote ID. That remote ID was supposed to happen 3 years ago, and then it took it it took until last summer before it actually became law.
So yeah, unfortunately, this is on the 22nd. This will be law.
Okay.
There's no kick in the can.
No kick in the can at this point.
There's no loose enforcement on this. This is 100% law on day one of 27.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
If you hear of a host of the show jumping off a bridge, we'll know what happened.
If you see drone footage of it, it's probably me. So
yeah, be good drone footage.
I told you not to do it.
Film at 11. Well, look, that's enough of that, and we'll get talk about that more as we get closer to the date, especially if there's any changes. But let's talk about finally what we really want people to do, and we're just weeks away. Got to come to Williamsburg. This is going to be so much fun. I didn't get to go last year, and I will tell you that I didn't even know about the event. This is true. I got upset. I picked up Facebook like Monday morning after the event, and I went, this just happened in my backyard, and I didn't know about it. I was so mad.
I went Facebook Live, didn't I? Yeah, I forgot about that. I did Facebook Live. I'm going to do that again.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I encourage it, especially we're going to be there, do as much live as we can.
Well, we're not going to let people not know about it.
Absolutely.
We're going to be all over. I'm going to put this one on all my social media posts, my Facebooks that I probably belong to 15 different groups with the drones. I bet you do too.
Yeah.
And so we'll put this out there on all of those. But we want this thing to turn out. We're hoping for 1,000 people this year out at the event, and there's enough space out there to accommodate us. We've got plenty of things to see, play with, be a part of it. Food and drink.
Charlie's Restaurant is right there.
Right.
Yep.
No excuses. Get out there, plenty of parking, and come join us for a day of fun out there in Williamsburg at that Waltrip Williamsburg
Executive Airport.
There you go.
It's going to be a blast, man. I can't
All
wait.
right. I can't wait to see you there.
Come on out. Come on.
All right. Hey, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time on Points of Interest.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, man.
That's it.